We needed to make sure that that goes on uninterrupted before we start with our business here. We have invited you to this briefing on after the outcomes of the elections of mayors and speakers at all councils throughout the country. Here with me is the head of organizing, Comrade Nomvola Mukonyani, and our head of elections, Comrade Fikile Mbalula. I'm going to invite Comrade Mbax to come and present our statement. Afterwards, we will entertain questions that Comrade Nomvola and Comrade Mbax will be able to answer to. Over to you, Comrade Mbax.
Thank you very much, Comrade National Spokesperson of the African National Congress, Comrade Nomvola, ladies and gentlemen of the media, and fellow South Africans. The ANC acknowledges and welcomes the establishment of municipal councils based on the outcome of the local government elections on the 1st of November 2021. The will of the people has been expressed clearly. The people have demanded that their representatives must work together to build better communities. This is a sign of healthy and deepening democracy. With great humility, we thank the people for affirming the mandate of the ANC to form governments in the overwhelming majority of local and district municipalities throughout the country, including the Buffalo City and Mangaung metros, in Nelson Mandela Bay, eThekwini, and other municipalities in many parts of the country. The ANC has been able to form coalition governments based on agreements that put the people's interest first. We acknowledge and welcome the role played by a number of parties who have agreed to cooperate with the African National Congress in pursuit of the objective of building better communities and improving the lives of the people of these municipalities. In totality, the ANC received clear mandate in the majority of local areas. We do acknowledge, however, that we have not done well in others. Of the total votes cast throughout the country, the ANC received 45.6% of the popular vote, which is 10,699,300 votes, and a majority in 167 councils. This amount to a total of 4,548 seats spread across all municipalities. It is quite clear that we have a huge task to serve our people in various constituencies. The ANC has also won 73% of ward seats, a vindication that our system of consulting communities in our ward candidate selections largely found resonance with the communities. ANC Council by province: Eastern Cape, total PR is 782, total wards 710, ANC PR seats is 390, ANC wards 636, ANC percentage per ward seat in the Eastern Cape is 89.6%. Free State is 341, total PR, total wards 319, ANC PR seats 91, ANC wards 263. The total percentage per ward seat is 82%. Gauteng 563, total PR 529, total wards 57, ANC PR 361, ANC wards 168%. KwaZulu-Natal 945 PR seats, 901 total wards, ANC PRCs 337, ANC wards and 468, ANC ward seats percentage is 51.9%. Limpopo 655 PR seats, total wards 568. The ANC got 330 PR seats, and wards we got 529, and the total percentage is 93%. Mpumalanga is 460 PR seats, 400 wards, we got 159 PR wards, we got 360, 90% is the overall figure. Northwest, 477 wards, 403 wards, 477 PR, 138 ANC PR seats we got, 361 wards we got, and then 89.6%. Northern Cape, 191 wards, 232 wards, PR 191, ANC got 60, PR 195 wards. The overall percentage is 84%. Western Cape, 429 wards, 406 wards, PR is 429, ANC got 69 PR seats, 124 wards, 30.5%. During our election campaign, we got, in terms of the total of the country, we got, we've got about 461 PR seats in the country, 4,061, and wards in the country, we've got 4,461. PR in the country, we got 1,631, and wards we got 3,297, and that is where it stands, the 73 per ward percentage nationally. That's what we got. During our election campaign, the ANC had the concerns of the people. We'll ensure that our programs respond to these needs and concerns. We value the input of and the counsel from our people. We will ensure that our public representatives honor the commitments made in our local government election manifesto. Together we will build better communities. We will ensure accountability and responsiveness from our representatives through contracts of deployment and performance agreements, which we have already signed with our public representatives. We will work to ensure transparency and people-centered governance. We are committed to root out corruption and maladministration. We reaffirm our commitment to improving service delivery through the district development model, coupled with what we launched during the elections, the ANC barometer. Across the country, where there has not been an outright winner, political parties and independent candidates have met and come together to form coalitions or confidence and supply agreements for government on a case-by-case basis. While we have, as the ANC, forged agreements based on substantive principles, we do not wish to judge the motivations that have inspired others to form such partnerships. We can only speak for ourselves. We can't speak for our opponents. They can speak for themselves about the political considerations and decisions that they have taken. What we hope will emerge from these developments is the establishment of functional local governments that provide services to the people. As President Ramaphosa said earlier this month, quote unquote, "Let it be clear, we are not going to enter into coalitions at all costs." The political parties going around saying they will not work with us to capture media space, we are not on our knees. If we must be in opposition, we will be in opposition. Even from opposition benches, the ANC will continue to work with the people to build better communities by playing an active role in representing residents and exercising vigorous and constructive oversight in these municipalities. We remain steadfast in our commitment to work with the people to transform our country into a united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic and prosperous nation. As we enter this era of new local government administrations, we are proud of the ongoing and consistent deepening and evolution of our multi-party democracy, consistent with the premise that a national democratic society requires an active citizenry. The ANC calls on all South Africans to participate actively in local government through ward committees, integrated development plan, IDPs, consultative processes and other structures. We also want to take this opportunity to congratulate all parties who secured representation in the municipalities and hope that they will contribute to the development of our communities and the country as a whole. To this end, as the ANC, we engaged a number of political parties to facilitate coalitions or cooperation in hung municipalities. Among this national negotiating team, which was led by our acting Secretary General, the Deputy Secretary General, Comrade Jesse Duarte, mandated by the National Executive Committee, we constituted a national team to negotiate with various parties. And we met and discussed with the IFP leadership, the Patriotic Alliance, Economic Freedom Fighters, AIC, ATM, Al-Jamaa, and the UDM, and as well as the Patriotic Alliance. These discussions were approached from a set of principles of good governance, pro-poor agenda, and anti-corruption principle. A good understanding emerged in our discussion, except in the instance of EFF that chose to call off the negotiations without solid reasons. We did not discuss with the EFF the approach to municipalities and coalitions. We only hear now that we did discuss, we're in a hurry to discuss coalitions with them. We did not even reach that stage. We had 2 meetings. And when we were supposed to get to the next meeting, the EFF called off the talks and declared that they will not support the ANC. Our provinces were also tasked to engage independents and local parties to forge coalitions or cooperation agreements. And this happened across all our provinces and also where we've got especially hung municipalities. But there are also acts of ill discipline that have also occurred in this instance, particularly in the Northwest Province, where some of our councillors in an ANC-dominated municipality decided to appoint EFF to become a speaker in Mamusa. That is an act of ill discipline that our province, working with us, is attending to, because there was no need for that, because it's not a hung municipality. We are in total control. So how do you take a vote of the people and give it to the opposition? We did not have any discussion with the Democratic Alliance. We had a choice to engage with the DA because we and the DA have the majority in the country in terms of most of the municipalities. But our National Executive Committee did not mandate us to have an agreement and coalition engagement with the Democratic Alliance. The ANC have had coalitions with the DA before, including at Tekwini, and also in Cape Town and in the Northern Cape. This time around, we did not have any coalition agreement with the Democratic Alliance. And in this particular instance, any information with regard to any matter, with regard to coalitions, we are here to clarify all the matters that are related to those issues as the African National Congress, and to explain where we came from and what led to the collapse of some of the discussions and what was in the coalition discussion. You will have seen that we had a deal with the IFP in KZN, which collapsed. The IFP went to their National Executive Committee and called off the deal without talking to us. We agreed in our meeting when there are difficulties that arise in terms of forming governments, either from our side or from their side, we will talk. But they decided to go it alone and to pull the carpet and hit us with a heavy storm of an ambush in terms of KZN. But our discussions were cordial and were very respecting of the two political parties, and we had an agreement with them. We had an agreement with the PA, Patriotic Alliance. As you can see, that hung municipalities, the PA is very influential, particularly in the Western Cape. Western Cape produced also a lot of hung municipalities in the backyard of the Democratic Alliance. So we have won some coalitions in the Western Cape. We have lost some coalitions to the Democratic Alliance. So the statement that we did not lose elections, we lost to coalitions, is qualified by the fact that we did not have a big turn up of people at the elections, and that affected the ANC. It affected all of us. But we knew that once the turn up of people is low, it will affect the ANC negatively, more than the new political parties. So that is why you have seen a lot of small political parties and independents in this election. 1 seat, 2 seats, 3 seats, and all of that. But we dropped. We dropped as the ANC, below 50. But in itself, it's not a loss. It is a drop. And we are not defending that there is a decline in terms of our support. And we have admitted that our people did not turn up for the election, is the honest truth. Our target was to get 10 million people. And we know we don't need any coalition. We could not. 12 million people in this country voted. Oh, half of that voted for the African National Congress. And then we maintained bigger number in the metros. We did not win in the last election. We lost to the DA. This time around, we were neck and neck with the DA. Now, if you want to define it, you will say that there was recovery there. But it was not enough in terms of winning us the metro outright. In Johannesburg, we emerged as the dominant party without outright majority. And that's what has happened in Johannesburg. We have maintained our majority at 50% in Mangaung. We are governing there in Buffalo City, overwhelming. In eThekwini, we emerged as the bigger party, but our numbers have dropped in eThekwini. And that is why we have coalition governments. In Ekurhuleni, that is the story too. And then in Tshwane, we did not win. We are almost neck and neck with the DA. But the recovery shows it was actually there. Now, if you want to argue otherwise, with regard to what we say when we say we lost to coalitions, it's because when we constitute coalitions, you give preference to the party that have won. But in this particular instance, that principle has been undermined. So political parties, even if they have not won a municipality like Johannesburg, they decided to give the vote to the DA to lead against the ANC. So we accept that. They've got political reasons why they did that. They've done that in Ekurhuleni. They did not choose the ANC. We said with the IFP, where you have won, we give you. Where we win, you support us. So they reneged. They've got reasons why they reneged. We'll go back and understand from them what actually happened. But they reneged on it. And they took Mhlatuzi, Newcastle, and all others, working with other political parties. They failed yesterday, dismally. They met the Congress movement in action. And there were celebrations already that eThekwini is gone. But it didn't go. It was safeguarded. And thank you to the smaller political parties. And thank you to the leadership of the ANC in KZN, led by Fikile Mbalula, And thank you to our comrades in eThekwini. In eThekwini, the challenge we face is unity of the ANC. And we're going to work on that with our comrades there. And thank you to the smaller political parties that have come to the party with us. And we promise them that we will work with them decently, and we will honor the agreement that we've got with them. If there are other ANC leaders who assisted, it's most welcome. We don't have issues with that. But we know that this was an outcome of days and nights, of long nights. And also in Gqeberha, we've got a coalition there. We got one vote to cross. But we also thank our coalition partners, because those political parties could have chosen the DA. But when we met with them, they said, ideologically, we don't think it is right for us to go to the DA. We come to you. So that is the coalition in Gqeberha, and we hope that we will have a stabilized coalition. It is not a given going forward that the ANC will accept everything. We will vote for budgets that speak to the interest of our people. If not, we'll walk away. So we will use our opposition to advance. We'll use our opposition to advance the agenda of the ANC, of better communities in different areas. We've got no quarrels with anybody. We are not angry with either Malema or whoever. We are not. It's a democracy. He's got the right to take his votes wherever he wants to, and give it to the DA. It is his right and his political party. We are not in argument with him about that. But we don't agree with distortions. The distortion that we failed to meet the demands of another political party can't impose its manifesto on another party. You negotiate. And some of the things the EFF is putting on the table, we are talking to each other about them in Parliament. And we said to them, we want to continue to engage because we've got fundamental differences on their interpretation of what must happen in the implementation of land issue. Because the differences between custodianship of land by the state and to the point that it is the state that must become the custodian of land. And we differ with them with regard to that particular principle. But overall, we agree to expropriation. How is that going to be executed? That is the issue we differ about. We agree on the state bank because we are going to implement that. The pharmaceutical company, we agree on that. On student debt, it's not a matter you can simply take a decision without engaging with Treasury and at the same time look at the fiscal position of the country and simply take a decision with a political party that will do away with student debt. We are dealing with those particular matters as we govern going forward. We said to them, we've got an in-principle agreement with them on a whole lot of issues. And then they wanted us within 12 months to agree to certain things. We said, okay, we will respond to you in terms of this issue in our second meeting. They were not happy with our response. Which response we gave to them. And then they said, no, this response is vague. We said, okay, in the spirit of negotiations, let's talk about the time frames, because we can't commit to things without looking at the roadmap on things we cannot do. And whilst we were doing that, then they went ahead and called off the negotiation. So it will tell you that they were not ready, maybe from the beginning, to work with us, and maybe they wanted a scapegoat. Why they are dishing the ANC for other political parties. But that is for another day. The elections are over now. It won't pay us anything to look at other political parties. Our business now is to look at our position as the ANC. Where are we? What are the challenges we face politically? What politically does this situation mean for us? The blame game it's not gonna help us. 2024, we must win overwhelming majority. And we are in that work now. We will be going to the NEC, doing a thorough review. We have already presented the preliminary report to the National Executive Committee on the election results. We know our position. It was a difficult election that took place exactly in 42 days. And the date we chose by the IEC on Monday did not help us as well. But we can't blame it on that. We worked, we did not get the result, and then we must look at ourselves as a party also. What are the weaknesses in the ANC that affected this result? There was a big battle about who is a what candidate and the outcome. You know that. There were marches every day here, outside this building, Luthuli House. They've subsided now, these marches, because it is clear some of these marches were not genuine. They were orchestrated, partly to undermine the ANC. But some of them were genuine. And Ntate Kgalema Motlanthe is processing the complaints. Already in January, we know we are going to go to by-elections. We have to hit the ground running. Nomvula is heading the processes of January 8th. We are going to Limpopo. She will speak about that. We are already in that frame. But we know when we came here, there were a lot of challenges. Electricity did not contribute to the positive mood in the country. The people who came out, even in the low voter turnout, and voted the ANC, but we know that our people did not even give their vote to the opposition. And the opposition can bask in the glory and say the ANC is going down. They are not going anywhere themselves. If the ANC is going down, where are they going? Are they growing? Then they should be controlling all these municipalities without us. And that is defined as a loss. It's defined as a loss because it would have been their gain. But for them to govern Johannesburg, and all of that, that's what they did. They did not govern outright. It is in KZN where the IFP have shown signs of growth for a number of factors which we need to examine for ourselves as a party. To what extent the Zuma thing has affected KZN. The Shembe Church, also they are not been happy about the ANC and giving an order that people must not go and vote. That also affected us in KZN. We need to rekindle that. The engagement with the people and the fact that we use a lot of work we have done in this election in terms of rekindling our engagement with the people to ensure that going forward the ANC is going to engage and make it a permanent feature, the social contract and engagement with the people. We don't become visitors, we become residents. When you go to Soweto during election and you talk about electricity, people say, but we didn't have electricity for 4 years, Mbalula. You are coming now. Where were you in 4 years when we were marching, demanding electricity? Those are practical things that confronted us in the campaign. And we've got to change that modus operandi. We don't have time to waste our time fighting with Malema. Malema is eating from our base. He's not eating from the DA. He's confusing our people. And we've got to be steadfast in doing the right thing and winning over our constituencies. So our energies are actually focused now on driving the agenda of the ANC, interpreting this election and in doing the right things that we said in the manifesto we will do in the next 2 years or so before the national election. Thank you very much, Somdo.
Thanks, Comrade Mbax. I think you also forgot to mention that even on sanitary towels, the ANC is actually already implementing that program in a number of other schools. So we just didn't come and speak about these things as the talks were ongoing, because we respected that we had a team of the African National Congress dealing with that work. Members of the media, the floor is now open for questions. Both Comrade Nomvola and Comrade Mbax will be able to answer those. Yes, comrades, we are Star. Siviwe from Star, Lizeka, Mail and Guardian, and Debu, SABC, Kotatso, Times Live, on then Newsroom. What's your name again? Khadrasa Leboni Pen. Pelane from Newsroom Africa. And now we would say I'm election la was yenzelile. Skotana Makam. Oh, Spamandla. Let's start.
Okay, my name is Fikile Mbalula. I have two questions. One, since 2016, when the ANC suffered serious losses, especially in the ANC would have been talking about reflection, self-correction, and renewal. Decline happened in 2019. It's happening now. I just want to ask, what is it that you did not do, as part of your renewal process? As part of trying to rectify your obvious decline, what is it that you have not done that you are going to do between now and 2014, which could change before things, because the ANC is really declining and many people now are even saying that there is no other way, you are going to lose in 2024. What is it that you have not done as part of actually fixing the ANC? And secondly, the AFF is saying, now that the area was especially where it matters the most, there's what we call a level playing field. You'll be coming from the opposition benches and going to come and in the same constituency. What do you think that presents for you? Especially given the fact that the ANC, on the eve of these elections that are happening, the ANC would have been rolling out, houses, accelerated stages to for the program that was taken by the city of October. Now you won't be able to do that. You'll be coming from the opposition benches and going to the same committees just like the AFF does. And you just said that the AFF is the biggest committee that you were saying by sitting from the day of it. What do you think that presents for the ANC now?
Okay, Zega.
Taking accountability or responsibility for the losses. Going into your own election next year, the election conference, and I'm assuming that some of the discussions, the robust discussions, will be around the losses that you have had in these elections. Can the NEC actually say that, can they concede as the NEC that they are the ones who are responsible for these losses? Can the NEC actually say that, that they concede or they are willing to take accountability for the losses in these neighborhoods, much as you say that you lost to coalition? There's a lot of talk around who exactly was winning and dealing in the Ethekwini municipality. You thanked the chair of Sister Ngalala, and you mentioned that there were some other comrades who were also in these negotiations. There's a lot of talk around whether the former president had any sort of role to play in convincing some of the smaller parties, most particularly ANC, to come into the coalition with you. Do you know if the former president, as well as the suspended ANC Secretary General, had any role to play in these negotiations? And my last question is around the IFP. You say the IFP, after two meetings with the IFP suddenly...
No, one.
After one meeting, the IFP suddenly withdrew from the negotiations. But were there actually any sort of...
withdrew from the deal.
From the deal?
Yes.
So what were exactly the demands that the IFP wanted or had put in the table? And what were the concessions that you were willing to do in that deal brokering?
Okay. Okay, my name is Ndebo. I'm with the SAPC. Okay, my name is Ndebo. I'm with the SAPC. In fact, Sidiba took one of the questions, but the tail end to that question would be, what strategy? I would assume there is a strategy that will presented to the National Executive Committee in terms of how are we going to make sure that the ANC prepare itself to run these elections or to contest these elections. So where did you go wrong in that strategy? Where do you think you've gone wrong in terms of executing that strategy or that battle plan? And then maybe secondly, this is 2021, in 2022, the ANC will be going to its elective conference. So the term of this National Executive Committee is coming to an end sometime next year in December to be precise. When you took over in NASA 2017, there was a buzzword of unity. As the ANC, can you give us in terms of the progress report when it comes to this unity? Because what we've seen some people, for instance, in Mamusi, for instance, where you find ANC councillors voting with the opposition, that on its own shows that there's disunity in the organization, and those people apparently were not happy with the leadership or the trajectory or the direction that the leadership was taking. And maybe finally, when is the ANC, I will be very euphemistic in this, when is the ANC going to take responsibility for its failure, especially when it comes to these elections or the previous elections? Because at some point, you pointed or you identified external factors, and some of those external factors were the SAPC. Some senior ANC members were even saying that the ANC, for instance, the Deputy Secretary General said the ANC was, the SAPC was the biggest, or the second biggest opposition in these elections. When are you going to take responsibility as opposed to apportioning blame? In 2019, for instance, in 2014, for instance, we were told that, two media houses, two newspapers, said people shouldn't vote for the ANC. You know them, those newspapers. But we didn't see the outrage that the ANC had, or that the ANC had about those newspapers, as opposed to the outrage, the disdain and the disgust that the ANC had for some at the SAPC. So when are we going to take that responsibility? Is it because maybe us with just the low-lying food as opposed to those wide-led newspapers?
Okay, Khotatso, and then they'll come to you. Yeah.
Khotatso Manisa at the Sunday Times. The ANC in Gauteng has called for what they call a self-introspection to determine whether the actions of individual ANC members did not contribute, especially to the loss of the 3 metros in Gauteng. They're saying that the ANC is becoming unpopular with the masses. Why do you think that is happening? When you guys do your internal talks in the NEC and wherever, why do you think the ANC is becoming unpopular? And second, it's a 2-pronged question. You've lost these metros. Is there any consequence management that is going to be put in place? When you have a look at it, is it not because of the failure to deliver services that you guys have now lost these municipalities? Do you think that the ANC has been performing? Yes, you say you cannot apportion blame to the EFF when the agency decided, but who are presiding with the DA. But they wouldn't have to if the ANC was true in delivering the services that would have led to people trusting the ANC. And some in the, before I finish off, some in the ANC are saying ESPON was the ANC's biggest opposition. Would you guys be able to say that? And maybe as a last point, we we stopped seeing the ANC's head of organizing all of a sudden in the middle of the election campaign. Is there any reason why all of a sudden was nowhere to be seen? I think we saw her once or twice when you guys went to the bar area, but in general, she was nowhere to be seen. Was she sidelined in any way? Thank you.
And then uzoyivala siphamandla ithi uzoyivala bakacede then bakhona ukuresponda.
Thank you very much. My name is Fikile Mbalula from Newsroom Africa. Just to go back to Elizabeth's question, when AC Makashule, suspended as GM as well as former President Jacob Zuma, if they are the ones who indeed were part of some talks to persuade the ABC leadership to vote in favor of the African National Congress, you say you would thank them, but wouldn't that be, I would say, a two-way of some sort? You would not want him to engage any political matters. So would it be fine when it favors you that he engages in party matters, but it won't be fine when he maybe addresses a gathering somewhere in Free State? So then perhaps you'll blame him for contravening some of his his DC issues there. So that's the first question. Do you think, how are you feeling about it if indeed the suspended SG was part of the negotiation team that assisted the African National Congress to get that part? And the second one is collective responsibility. In 2016 you said you are taking collective responsibility. So have you collectively failed in this matter? Do you feel that you can concede, despite the low voter turnout, that you failed to convince people to vote and vote in the favor of the African National Congress? And the last one from me is, you say you lost in coalition and you failed to bring about a good picture, current enough for the smaller parties. So if the EFF is eating away your base, what are you going to be doing about it towards 2024 so that you don't have to fail in coalitions and in fact be able to get the majority that you are looking for?
Okay. Pamandla.
I am covered.
Okay. Okay. Sis Mvula, and then Bax will follow. You want to come?
Police on that.
Here.
It's going to rain. You covered.
I will come back second.
Good evening, and thanks for the questions. Very thought-provoking questions. On some of the issues that have been raised about the decline in terms of the voter support for the ANC. In fact, if you compare 2016 and the outcome of this particular election, you'll realize that in actual fact, the ANC has not grown. We remain at the same level as we were in the past elections. And what are those factors that are internal, that affected our voter turnout and our fortunes in the elections? Amongst others is that we know that the ANC itself has been on a path of self-correction and uniting branches. There was a lot of contestation in terms of nomination and selection of candidates. And also there was an acknowledgement by the ANC that we've got weak structures on the ground, and the processes of rebuilding the organization is not something that we can actually say we have perfected it. We've been working thoroughly together with our various structures on the ground in ensuring that we rebuild not only the structures of the ANC, but look also on the character of the member of the African National Congress, so that then the ANC is not only trapped on the big numbers that we have in terms of quantity, but investing a lot on political education and cadre development. And that will actually be measured as we proceed with the processes that are taking us to our regional conferences, to our branch biannual general meetings, as well as the coming provincial conferences, because the engagement is not about the quantitative numbers that we have, but we also are looking at the quality of a member of the African National Congress, but also investing on the development of each and every individual. It is for the first time as well that we had to also have interviewing panels that were looking at the selection of our executive mayors, as well as the speakers and chief whips. That was facilitated at a provincial and at a regional level. Conceding on us as the National Executive Committee having contributed, look, nobody would want to absolve him or herself from the challenges that we have gone through as the African National Congress, and hence it is our commitment continuously in ensuring that we unite not only the members on the ground, but we also have a common program. And I think with these elections, there was a common program. I heard Khutato saying they could not actually see us in action. We were not working with those that we were following. Our focus was, the emphasis was on working and ensuring that there is voter contact. We worked in the length and breadth of the various provinces, motivating volunteers, working together with our structures, reinforcing the regional and the provincial leadership of our organization in ensuring that work is being done. The other issue that I think I need to speak about has to do with what is being continuously raised by everyone, including here today, about KwaZulu-Natal. Look, those comrades, including here in Gauteng, were part of the national task team. When we had engagements as the negotiating team, we always had provinces represented in those platforms. Comrades had actually started to work on these issues, and even an attention on the smaller parties as far back as the past 2 weeks. As to what other means they applied, I think we should guard against apportioning a lot on individuals as compared to the structure in KwaZulu-Natal that carried everybody and utilized every arsenal in their possession to actually turn things around, not only in eThekwini, but also in the other municipalities that are in the north of KwaZulu-Natal. The fact that today we have a relationship in terms of negotiations that collapsed with the IFP is something that we would also want to engage at the political level, because there are so many other issues that the ANC has to deal with regard to our future relationship and cooperation with the IFP, and those are issues that are also handled at a very, very national level, at a senior level between the two parties. What is being emphasized in our own reflection on the preliminary report is that one of the things we must do as the ANC is that our elections machinery must remain intact, and we must remain in an election mode beyond the days and the time when we enter into an election. So the manner in which our branches function, getting in touch with communities, responding to community issues, and now repositioning ourselves as an effective opposition, something that the ANC is not used to, is what we definitely have to look at. We will be going into a session early next year where we'll just be discussing organizational renewal and repositioning of the African National Congress, because our take is that a national conference of the ANC must not actually divert us from executing a mandate of the African National Congress, which is about unity of our people, as well as making sure that we change the lives of our people for the better. The demands of the IFP, they are known that there were issues about our region, Nzala-Nxumalo, which is a region of the African National Congress and not a district municipality. There was an issue about Griffith Mxenge. But having gone into the second session, we then agreed that these are issues that must be ongoing in our engagements. The focus must now be on allowing stability in KwaZulu-Natal through our municipalities. And as Comrade Fikile has indicated, where the IFP is in the majority, will allow them to lead. Where the ANC is in the majority, we will allow them to lead. But unfortunately, right at the doorstep, the agreement actually collapsed without any engagement between the two parties. The ANC has got a bigger responsibility more than any other party in this country, that of ensuring that there is stability, there's delivery, but of importance that we take our people along in terms of ensuring that true transformation, real non-racial and a non-sexist South Africa actually prevails. These elections have been a lesson, but we came into those elections with a lot of experience. Our work, in actual fact, that's why you wouldn't see us on camera, was primarily on voter contact, getting in touch with the voter. Unfortunately, the majority of the electorate didn't turn up for voting, and hence we had this kind of a turnout, because if you look at the number of votes against the proportional representation, it weighs against the number of votes that we have, because the allocation then starts with the lowest denominator, which is the lowest, which is the party that got the least of the votes. It then gets pushed up and being allocated automatically a seat. Those are some of the realities of democracy, and hence we are saying, as we go to Polokwane, to Limpopo, part of what we're going to do is to also commend the people and thank the communities of Limpopo for having actually come out and voted for the ANC. We've got 93% of our wards in Limpopo under the African National Congress. We need to consolidate that space, but we also need to renew and consolidate the structures of the ANC so that there is internal unity and not the fragmentation that we are seeing actually now taking shape in the manner that comrades are responding on the selection of mayors. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Mbalula. The question that you ask, almost all of you, do you take collective responsibility for the failure? Do you see this as a failure, or what is it? When we came into this election, from our own research, we knew that first, the mood was negative, all-time low inside the country. And I'll characterize that mood. High rate of unemployment, COVID-19 pandemic that has affected further shedding of jobs, the bigger perception about corruption, to a point where anyone who wears a t-shirt of the ANC and a cap is referred to as Isela, a thief. We are thieves. And that is the negative mood we're fighting. 2017 agreed on a renewal. Now, it is renewal or death. The ANC will die if we don't renew. What are elements of renewal which we have begun to implement? We have not convinced society that we are doing something about corruption. In the middle of the pandemic, there were rumors that, not rumors, there were reports that PPEs were embezzled. We unveiled a budget of billions of rands to intervene for our communities who are in distress in terms of being affected by the pandemic. Billions of rands have been paid out. Billions of rands have been invested to alleviate the unemployed cohort with the 350s. About 9 million people became beneficiaries of that, but the target is about. That arrangement is still now. Go down to the communities and talk to, as we're going on the door-to-door and all of that, the people feel the pinch and the brunt of unemployment. ESCOM, let's heal. Let's correct this problem. Monopoly, but at the same time, the partnership of communities. Wetu owes ESCOM 19 billion. And that money is down to 7 billion rand. By who? By ANC government. 7 billion. And then there is nyogas. People are not paying anything. Electricity. Nothing. And then we came with a compact to them to say, let everybody get electricity according to what they can afford, prepaid. They say, no, we don't want prepaid. Others say, yes, we want prepaid. Others say flat rate. You ask, what is the flat rate? They say, I want to pay 200 rand a month. How do you pay 200 rand when you use an electricity of 1,000 rand to 2,000? So we've got to diversify. And that is where the question of independent power producers comes in. But that is where also local government, this is what Mpomwe Ryan was doing here, in less than 2 months, when he took over, to get local government here from ESCOM. President answered today in Parliament and say, local municipalities can do independent arrangement. In that way, we are addressing the challenges amongst our people don't, and we want over the weekend, 3 days before the election, switch off in a lane. You want those people to vote for you. The field is right there, incumbent. So we had to address those particular issues, and we're going to continue to address them expeditiously with all the challenges. But this things as government without engagement doesn't work. I'm telling you my lived experience campaign. Government is doing vis-a-vis what people are saying on the ground. Following on the ground, people those things, government they are falling for, and touch with its people voted. And I use visitor. We must not become visitors. We must become residents. Our public representatives must live amongst our people. When the DA coalition here is not delivering in Soweto, roads and water, we and our councillors must be able to explain to our communities that these people, they pass the budget in council that does not take into consideration your interest. That is how a revolutionary party is going to recoup power. We were hovering before this election, let me tell you, at 38, 39%. Now, what I'm telling you is that we knew that it is going to get worse. But secondly, the Constitutional Court decision did not favor us, because it did not give us enough time. At least we needed 3 months to campaign. It cut it to 42 days. And in that process, we had to finalize candidates, we had to finalize registration of people. A number of our people did not register. The people who registered is in the suburb areas, and that favored the DA. But the DA produced hung municipalities in the whole of the Western Cape, except in Cape Town and some few areas. And the ANC was also affected heavily by the storm of lack of voter turnout. There are other factors. Monday, people went home. But do you want to use that as an excuse? No. We accept the fact that we're faced with a bigger challenge. And what is that challenge? If the ANC does not implement comprehensively its renewal program, the people will never be on our side. What is that renewal program? A changed organization that is going back to its values. An organization that does not only exist for families, for individuals, an organization that is firm about corruption, an organization that is serious about in this country a social compact between business, labor, and government. A social compact. That's what we said in our manifesto for reconstruction and development of the economy. It's urgent. That's what we need to implement. We need what? Renewal. Simple. We are without our Secretary General today because of that renewal program. The reason why we are in this situation, look at Malutia Pofu. ANC comrades were guillotined, dealt with, and they left. They call themselves MEP 16. Those are our people. Those are ANC comrades who left the organization because they had no choice, because the organization expelled them for no particular reason. They are rooted amongst the people. They formed an organization. Today they reduced our majority. If the president didn't lead a campaign and we deployed him in Tabayazwe and Putadichab, it will be zero, trust me today. It will be zero. We have averted the way before we accept collective responsibility. When you are leadership, you don't have to accept collective responsibility. The decline of the ANC to 45% is happening under our leadership. And we'll explain to our membership, even themselves, they know what happened. You say in Tebu, we talk, we don't take failures. We take failures. We told you that our own subjective weaknesses have affected our performance. Ill-discipline, you are talking about in Mamusa, you win a council, factional comrades in the ANC, even if the decision you don't like, you swallow it. If the national leadership take a decision that the mayor must be Pule and a Nagarata Nomvul, I go with Pule. Even if I don't like Pule. Ill-discipline in our organization means that some municipality, a group of comrades can do as they wish. When the people of Mamusa have shown us their loyalty. This is the ill-discipline that we must correct, and it doesn't have to wait for NEC meeting. Northwest Province, Chauke and the I dealing with that matter as we speak, convincingly and decisively. Even if it means we must go to a by-election, we must do that. We said where dates were wrongly nominated, when the Kalima report comes, we will go to by-elections. We must be true to that. Will give us the report. That's what our people want. When we went to them, they said, no, we didn't elect this one. We wanted this one. And indeed, in some of the wards where people chose to become independent because they were short-circuited by the ANC process, they have won the wards against the ANC. And go to eThekwini. Have you seen how many independents and small political parties are there? Those are our people. Those are our comrades. And you say today we have bought them. We didn't buy them. We politically persuaded them. We didn't buy anybody. And the reason they left and they were going with the DA is because of our agreement with the IFP. The IFP doesn't know what we did and sacrificed to get into that arrangement. And our arrangement is politically driven. Unity of African leadership in the country. That's why we leaned to the IFP and say, we can work with you without interrupting. Respect the fact that you have won somewhere, we have lost somewhere. They requested certain metros and all of that. We are honorable. We can't come here and attack them. They got the reasons why they walked away. Now that the dust is settled, the metros are gone, some of them through coalitions, we'll have to address that. Let me address you on the issue of coalitions. It is coalitions, it's hung municipalities. This election produced more hung municipalities more than ever in the history of local government in this country. It pushed us back. Leveling the playing field could be what the opposition want and what they want to achieve. Even myself, if I'm an opponent, I would want to see the ANC going down. And it's all in their own agenda. They say they are eating the elephant piece by piece. And that is why they celebrated when the ANC was below 50. And they said this elephant is going down. And that is why some of you now, you are basically saying to us, 2024 is unlikely that this thing will turn around. We are not arguing with you. We are going back to the drawing board and we are going to be firing from all cylinders. And firing means we must do the things I've told you we'll do. We must address the economy. We are addressing the challenge of the economy amidst the challenges of COVID-19. Today, when we spoke about the fourth wave and the variant, what did people say? They say, no, government, they blame us. Which government can implement the rules to suppress its citizens and undermine its economy deliberately. These regulations and the lockdowns does not work for us. I'm a Minister of Transport. Go to the airport. My entities, tomorrow I'm giving you a report about my entities. And I'm going to tell you how COVID has actually affected AXA, for instance. ATNS, entities that were able to operate on their own and generate revenue on their own, they are unable now. We're shedding jobs there in a big way. We need to recoup and come back. And we are going to tell you how and what we are doing to get that back on track. So that is what has basically happened. Look, you want the ANC to fight. This thing, whether Ace Makashule or whoever assisted whoever, it's not an issue. But you have put it in the headlines because some group call itself RET must feel good. We must come to a press conference and respond to Ace and President Zuma. President Zuma said before the election, despite his problems, I will vote ANC, and he called people and he called a press conference and told you that he's going to vote ANC and called on the people to vote for the African National Congress. There was no problem with that. I saw Makashule making statements, our former SG, making statements that he was canvassing in the areas that it's him. It's his own volition. Why should we stop him? We didn't mandate him. He's suspended. He's supposed to sit at home. And then that is it. Now, let me tell you a story. You talk about names because you want us to be divided, to fight petty battles. We are not going to give you that due. Let me tell you. The ANC delegation that met with the IFP was led by Jeff Radebe. And I was part of that delegation. And the talks were led by the DSG. And there were different teams that met with different people. I led the team with the TG to meet the EFF. When we met in Inkatha Freedom Party, we were led by the national chairperson, Comrade Gwede, and the TG. We went to KZN, met with the PC, gave them a report on our discussions with Inkatha Freedom Party. We were led by the national chairperson and the TG. Okay? In the negotiations, it is Sihle Zikalala and Mdu at the provincial level. In eThekwini, it's our comrades there, interim structure, who are talking to. Now you come to us, you say, after hard work and everything, some of our comrades and our leaders have assisted, but you are brandishing that deliberately because you want to divide this ANC. And we must come here and denounce Zuma. If Zuma did that as our former president, it's okay. What's wrong? To help the ANC. I know some of our comrades make issues about Kaunda because these are ANC deep-set divisions in eThekwini. Our job as the national leadership is not to take sides. We are supposed to unite Kaunda and the comrades of eThekwini to do the right thing, defend the ANC. And yesterday they did that. Perfect. So we are very much alive to this perpetrated divisions and anonymous people with ballot lovers who project themselves to be knowing the ANC. We know some of our comrades have gone to the opposition without our mandate. And they went to the opposition and talked things about the leadership. That is why the opposition, some of its leaders are basically hallucinating about, there was an agreement, secret agreement between the ANC and the DA, and that is why we punished the ANC. Why should we be punished? The people who punished us is the people who did not turn up to vote. The EFF, since its foundation, has never supported the ANC. We were just taking our chances now because probably the political dynamics have lied down. It never changed. It never. We spoke with some of us who are in good relations with EFF leadership, but that does not translate into party relations. It doesn't. They stick to their guns and what they do. And very clear that, and some of our comrades think that if you put the DA here and the EFF, they will choose the EFF. But from where I'm seated, I don't see a difference. You see, because the EFF cannot justify politically, they can't, why they will donate their vote to the DA. Because they don't want us to govern. Fine. They then use the DA to block us from governing. It's fine. But in the past, they said they will abstain, so they did not. So we don't control political parties, and that is it. So we are governing in coalitions with people who are prepared to basically work for us. And Mvula has answered the issue of the IFP. The discussion in the ANC, look, we have declined and we have lost some of the municipalities in the country. We did not do well. But we know as the NEC collectively that it could have been worse than it is now. We know. And what did we do? We put up a spirited campaign, unfortunately did not take us to where we wanted to. Because we know that if we crossed the line, we will not be where we are today. We did not reach our objectives. Now, there are some opportunists, even in the party, who are rebels in the party, who are basically calling for the head of the NEC. They see the opportunity. The ANC, I've explained to you, we have started to evaluate what happened, where we lost, where there are coalitions, how many of our people did not come to the party, in which areas. But I can tell you from where I am. Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, that's where the biggest loss came from. That's where the biggest loss and drop actually came from. Right? And then Eastern Cape came to the rescue. Not Limpopo, that is ANC. We don't have coalitions in Limpopo. Even now, it is the ANC versus ANC taking each other to court. Can you imagine that? We have won in Limpopo, but our people are fighting over positions. So renewal speaks to that. Not being focused on the task is what is going to cost us in the long term. The leadership of the ANC must speak collectively. We're a big organization. There will be contests in the national conference, but we shouldn't contest like hopeless people, like there is no tomorrow. We must contest. There will be leadership, but there is direction. The real issue on the center here is the question of improving the lives of the people for the better. The majority in this country. How do we do that? How do we serve them? Are we able to turn around the economic situation of this country? That is what is fundamental. When Mbeki, as a former president in 1999 and 2004, the economy was growing at the level it was, we were able to register 2/3 majority for the ANC. The SABC was a big problem. And if somebody is telling you in the passages, let me tell you open today, we were just decent not to attack you in public. But because we are an independent broadcaster, let me tell you what is our problem. I said to your editor, who's that, Makwapeni? I called her, right? And then she threatened that she's going to report me in public. I'm one of the people who confronted her directly. You guys, during local government elections, you ran a program called Gauge. And then that program meant that you are putting the ANC on the back foot. After the elections, that's only then you go to Western Cape, Khayelitsha, where the DA governs. After the elections, you never arrived there. You were in all these majority municipalities and showing our weakness. Fine and good. But you're leaning, I even said to her, Makwapeni, leave it to the voters. And then he said, do your job, I'm doing my job. I said, then fine. Very good. I'll do my job. I did my job to the best of my ability against a ruthless SABC, attacking the ANC left and right. Fine and good. Independence means that you provide a platform for all of us to participate. You don't make us a favor, but you don't take a stand and campaign and become a mouthpiece of the opposition. The opposition is there, it must do its job. And the media, its job is to be independent, impartial. And that is what we understand. But in this particular instance, it didn't happen. And that's why in the election campaign, we never made any noise about it. We only spoke at the end about it, because that's what we're analyzing. And no doubt, you have aided you have aided to the negative mood, and you have aided the campaign of people not coming out in their numbers to vote, because the mood was all-time low. How do you tell a person to go and vote when there is a campaign on television every day that is running? I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to vote. But the question of active citizenry and the obligation for South Africans to participate is not only an ANC issue. It's a problem. It's a question of our democracy. We need to encourage, and the SABC as a public broadcaster have got the responsibility to mobilize people to go out and vote for political parties of their choice, and not mobilize people from not going to vote. I think that even other media houses, that is the case, because the public broadcaster is a public broadcaster. It must cover us equally and impartially and independent, like your slogan actually says. So we've got no issue with the SABC. As the head of ANC elections, I went to SABC 2019. And when I arrived there, I met a house full of journalists. And then there was a report that I'm trying to intimidate or do what? All political parties, they discuss with the SABC. They engage with the SABC. But my going to the SABC to engage them and to even discuss practical things around the leader of my party in terms of the election campaign, what is his program, I was seen to be interfering. But you discuss with all political parties. You discuss with the EFF, you discuss with the DA, where is John Steisen's program? Where is Malema's program? You discuss with them. And then you discuss also by ICASA how you're going to cover small political parties. You've got a footprint in this country that is not equal to any independent media in the country. All 11 languages and all of that. So we don't have issues with the SABC. We just had an issue, like I explained to you, but we didn't make an issue in the campaign. We don't blame the SABC. We simply explaining to you that we believe that people's perceptions were sharpened not to go out in numbers and vote. We contributed to that. This election was difficult. It was difficult in the sense that it was a short election, and we in the ANC, among others, we didn't also have resources. In our own analysis, we've got to look at, when I conclude this point now, in terms of our failures, we already know that the unity issue and the disunity is fundamental to what happened. We already know that the financial situation of the organization affected us, okay? We already know that the perception that we are a divided party did not add up to our good image in public. Right on the election day, there were people in front of this building that Pule had to come and talk to them, who were protesting and saying that they are not going to vote. And they were live on television on the voting day. So it tells you how difficult it was. We wanted to run a campaign that showcased we are an incumbent, but it was difficult. In Ekurhuleni, a city where we delivered, we could not register outright majority. And we showed you, Clayville, the things that we did there. Taking people out of Kwamadala and then taking them to Clayville, the delivery of the ANC. We took you in our campaign to Diepsloot, the people we took from Alexander, and the people we took from Diepsloot and built houses. We took you there, delivery. But those people still, statistically, they did not come and vote despite the delivery of the ANC. What then became the fundamental problem in this campaign is perceptions. Perceptions. I'm in the RDP house, the ANC have delivered it. I say, I'm not going to vote because Namasela, they are stealing. Mbalula was everywhere in the campaign. She was not ostracized. She's not head of campaign. She's not head of elections. So you wouldn't see her on TV every time. You see me and Pule Mabe every time. But she was deployed. She was working in Tshwane. And they did a splendid job in Tshwane under her. She heads organizing. So she was part of our meetings every day. And all other NEC members were deployed on the ground. We did a splendid job on the ground. And like I give you the background now, that we knew that we will drop. And we were fighting very hard to cross. But we only managed to get to 45%. But we were fighting the 38%, 39%, and even a drop from there. That will be political obliteration and annihilation. So we could not be annihilated despite our weakest position. We managed to fight back. So we need to build on that. So don't misunderstand us to saying we say we have won. No, we are not saying we have won. We have lost municipalities. But where we have won and registered a majority, look, if you look at the table there, number one is still ANC nationally. All others come after us. So that thing doesn't need you to study mathematics or to understand arithmetic. You simply look at the board, study of numbers. One is ANC, but at a decline position of 45% below 50. Has the ANC lost the elections nationally? No. It has actually gotten a decline. That's it. Now, when you've got a decline and you've got hung municipalities, tell me in the hung municipalities, here in Johannesburg, why didn't the DA form a government on its own without EFF and everybody? It's because they don't have majority. They didn't have a majority, so meaning people did not vote them in majority. We got the largest chunk in Johannesburg. We got the largest chunk. So under normal politics, we should be working with the DA to govern Johannesburg, to govern everywhere. We chose not. Why should we have under the carpet deal with Helen Zille? Why should we do that? If we wanted a deal with Zille, we strictly go straight to her and say, Helen, let's govern the people who want us to govern. And probably Helen will say that, my constituency and my people did not give me a mandate to work with you. Even myself. I don't have that mandate from the NEC and my constituency. But my people opened up that you can work with the EFF. EFF rejected me. So what should I do? I can't cry about that. Mashaba was fair. He didn't play politics. He was walking there like as if he has opened a new church from Nigeria there at ROC Mashaba. I mean, he was very clear, like a pastor from Nigeria. No, the ANC in 300 years, and now work with them. I respect that man. I respect him. I don't agree with his politics. He is a right-wing fundamentalist. That's who he is, Hemen Mashaba. But he was clear with you and with me. I didn't have to go and take chances and phone Mashaba. He made it clear. And then the IFP was going forward and backwards. At some moment, we won't work with the ANC. But they came back. And then we met with them. We agreed, we had a deal with them. And they went out and announced it when we said, don't announce. They went alone without us. Look, we are the main political contending parties in KwaZulu-Natal, IFP and the ANC. This demand that Mzala Ngumalo must go. What do you think our membership thinks about that? We need to consult. But we as leadership, we said that let's look at the bigger picture. But our membership said no. And those comrades of KZN, when we went to them, they said to us, Comrade Mbalula, Gwede, Mashatile, Netkekan, we are prepared to go to the opposition benches and fight back. That's what they said. We don't need IFP here. But we did not still take a unilateral decision to undermine the IFP without talking to them. that, hey, our constituency is fighting. That's what you get in these negotiations. But the ANC, DA, they said, no. NEC was very clear on that. So, that is the clarity we seek to bring. So we are a party from 2019 that is on renewal and on recovery. That's what we said. Now, when you evaluate, you look at that program to say, how far are you? And what is it that you still need to do? First, you need to use your incumbency. We still control national government. We control national government. So we've got to intervene. Yes, the level playing field means that in certain municipalities we'll co-govern. In certain municipalities have been taken away from us. It means the question of control is gone away from us. The implication of that for the party, those are issues that we need to examine in Tebu. That is what we're doing when we go to the NEC with our structures, all our structures. We will be doing this work, and then from there, it's a year-long program of action. That includes preparations for the national conference, policy, evaluation. What are we going to do about that? Policy of the ANC, evaluation, and what are we going to change and what are we going to do going forward? So it's a lot of work, and we don't take what has come out of this election for granted and thinking that we have won, and we are not aware that this decline is the biggest enemy we are facing. No, we are aware. That's why we are not celebrating. But when we state facts, don't distort. Malema can't speak for us. We will speak for ourselves. We can't speak for him. He will speak for himself. So he can't want to come and tell us that we are in denial. What are we in denial about? It's like some artist who sing a song in denial. We are not in denial. We are aware what is before us. We are very clear. Our tools of analysis are sharp to explain to us what is happening. And that is what we are dealing with here. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Comrade Mbax. We're not going to take a second round. Most of these comrades need to file by 7. The broadcasters are going straight into their normal programming. So we must thank you, comrades, for taking your time to come through and at least get the perspective of the African National Congress. So go well and start telling our people the truth. Oh, the program is called Service Delivery Gauge. So that program had its own challenges. The media has got the responsibility, as Mbak says, to also educate people on the need to vote, why they must participate in voting. Not to only entertain negative messaging. Because it's yourself, actually, we're doing quite a lot of campaigning against the ANC. But it's okay, because there's also a media house that has funded a political party. A media house, but in those declarations of, there's a media house, Naspers, City Press. Okay. No, thank you very much. There are even journalists who now, they resigned, they went. One of them is now a candidate of Action SA. Guys, if there are those who want to talk to Osnom Vola, you can talk to her one-on-one. The press is okay. You can't. Whenever you are on duty.